The Adventures of Donald McQueen, Bibliographer. Chapter 3, Harry Potter and the Cardigan of Doom.
I am Donald McQueen, Bibliographer, and I have in my possession the Ear-Trumpet of Death. I've noticed that my voice sounds most peculiar whenever I say those words. After spending another fruitless day in the Fellows' Library at Timor Mortis College with the Codex Assinorum and a bottle of Duncombe's Stygian black ink open before me and the trumpet in my ear, I had achieved nothing to advance my understanding of the great mystery of that book. But I had heard much to beguile and confound me through the medium of the Ear-Trumpet of Death. It didn't happen that time. When I returned to my lodgings after dinner, bloated with mackerel, beef, lamb, and horse, all garnished with Gruber's tomato ketchup, the finest condiment known to Bibliographer, and certainly better than Shickles, I sat down before the fire to peruse the latest volume from the Bibliographical Society of London, a fine study and reconstruction of the library of the roguish Bishop Basher, and, incidentally, beautifully designed by a typographer of real genius. My beloved cat, Doggerel, leapt onto my lap and began to claw at my genitalia, a prelude, I knew, to his settling down to sleep. I need not, of course, tell the listener why I called my cat Doggerel. Since the first episode of the Venus Probe was aired in the United Kingdom in the early 1970s, Doggerel has been the fifth most popular name for a domestic cat, after Grimalkin, Pyewacket, Blatherskite, and Numbnuts. My brother Starwheel, who fancies himself a wit, acquired a dog some years ago, which he facetiously named Catterel. These days I am told Catterel is the fifth most popular name for a dog. As the gorgeous Doggerel, a completely black cat with more beauty about him than any other living creature, albeit sometimes he looks utterly evil, like a hound of hell, as indeed he must appear to the small rodents and birds he takes such pleasure in devouring, settled down upon my lap to sleep, I threw aside the excellent study of Basher's library and drew out once more the fabulous trumpet and inserted it into my ear. Astonishingly, I seemed to be hearing the thoughts of the beautiful animal which lay dozing in my lap.
Felis sum, in felix sum. I am a cat. I am not happy. We cats can, most of us, speak many languages. Latin is the lingua franca of my world, but I am fluent in English and French too, though I only ever speak cat when Buggerlugs is around. He calls me Doggerel, which is a perfectly silly name, though I do resemble the cat in the Venus Probe in some respects, albeit I have a better brain, and can understand the complex puzzles which I'm afraid stumped poor old Doggerel. But then, what can one expect? Doggerel was a man in a cat's body. I can always come up with the answers to clues in Buggerlug's Bibliographical Society Journal crossword much more quickly than he can, but I never tell him the answers. My real name translates into English as Lord Sextus. Because I was the sixth of 7 kittens, we cats are all lords and monarchs, some of us gods. Indeed, every wise cat is his own god, as I am to myself. The god of Lord Sextus is Lord Sextus. The vet who sexed us, and then unsexed us, declared me a hermaphrodite, and so I had to be done twice, once for a girl kitten and once for a boy kitten. But since I have a twinkly-winkly, I think of myself as a tomcat, and so does Buggerlugs, evidently, as he named me Doggerel, which is a male cat's name. I wish it to be understood that I am not contented with my lot. Indeed, I have a long list of complaints. I cannot write them down, and neither would you expect me to. A lord does not write his own lists. I am awaiting only the arrival of the secretary, which my god, Lord Sextus, has promised me, to put my grievances into writing and present them to the proper authorities. In the meantime, I shall remember my list of complaints, which is easy enough, despite the great length of the list, as we cats have excellent memories. Now, Buggerlugs, tickle my ears. tickle my ears, tickle my ears, tickle my ears, tickle my ears, tickle my ears. Ooh. Ah. Ooh. I want you to understand that I'm not enjoying this at all. Not one little bit. Ooh. Ah. Oh no! Oh no! I've got my claw caught in his cardigan! Oh no! What am I going to do? This is the end! Oh, Lord Sextus, help me! I'm pulling and pulling and pulling, but it's not coming free! Oh no! I'm going to die here with my claw caught in this cardigan of doom! No! It's come out. Thank the Lord Sextus for that. Now, some more ear tickling, if you please, or whether you please or not. Tickle my ears. Felis sum, infelix sum. I am a cat. I am not happy.
The days passed, and I learned that I could influence the trumpet. It was as if it were somehow receptive to my brain waves, so that if I was thinking of the sack of Mainz in 1462, as I often do, I would hear, when raising the shining tube to my ear, not necessarily events of that place or time, but often something close in time and space, and sometimes precisely the events I had been musing upon. This was why, I realized, I had heard the thoughts of Doggerel directly after I had been thinking about that remarkable creature. I noticed something else, too. The voices I heard were always speaking English. Admittedly, they often had curious accents, strangulated, comical, chimerical, and many strangely alike, but they were always comprehensible to my ears. This confused me for a while, as I knew the suffering citizens of Mainz in 1462, for example, must have spoken to one another in a form of late medieval German which I should have been most interested to hear, but they sounded to me like English men and women putting on the most extraordinary faux German accents. But then I reasoned thuswise. If this was Death's ear-trumpet, then he must needs listen to all the tongues of the earth, in all the eras of mankind, in order to trace and identify the recipients of his special tenderness, so would naturally hear all the tongues in an intelligible form. Just as the ear-trumpet could read and interpret my thoughts, so it could translate and transmit the words of others in a form I could understand. I began to think about my elder brother, Starwheel McQueen. He is a man rather shorter and balder than I, and, though more advanced in years, still in some senses a child. He is the Mycroft to my Holmes, the Liam to my Noel. He is a professor of chemistry at St. Frederick's College, and indeed head of the Faculty of Chemistry at Oxford. And yet he is not content. He has always wanted to be an actor, a singer and a dancer of wild dances, and tried, as a youth, unsuccessfully, to enter the Larder, the London Academy of Dramatic Arts. He had to be content to take a first in chemistry at Ray Winston Hall, and to pursue a glittering academic career. Now he often steps onto the boards in the amateur theatres of Oxford, and sometimes auditions for professional acting and musical engagements, but, sadly without success, despite the fine collection of actorly cravats he has built up over the past 35 years. Unlike me, Starwheel has preserved something of his Scottish accent, which I have lost through years of careful study in the bathroom. But, being an actor manqué, he fancies he can do half a dozen other voices, a Pakistani, 2 Frenchmen, and 3 different sorts of working class. It was of this dear, foolish chemist, with his shining pate and half-witted smile, that I was thinking as I raised the trumpet to my ear again. And sure enough, soon I heard his voice, resounding through the panelled corridors of time. Welcome to the Queen's Theatre, and today's open auditions for Harry Potter, the musical. We're looking to cast some unknowns for some of the leading roles, so there's a real chance here for some of you no-hopers and no-talents to become hopers and talents. So, who is first for the Hogwarts Express? Me. And what is your name, darling? I am Starwheel McQueen, actor. And what part are you up for, my lovely?
I wish to audition for 2 parts, those of Severus Snape and Remus Lupin, darling.
Crikey, sweetie, aren't you a bit old for those parts? I had you down as a Dumbledore, or perhaps that creepy old caretaker, whose name nobody can remember.
I will, through the magical power of my acting ability, convince you that I am a man of half my actual age, and a wizard, or a werewolf to boot.
Well, good for you, Starwheel.
Starwheel?
Quite so, darling. You have the music? Excellent. What song are you going to give us?
I shall give you Snape's anthem, Master of the Dark Arts.
Fantabulosa. Johnny, strike up the band, and Starwheel, you come in when you're good and ready. Off you jolly well go.
I'm Snape, I'm ugly as an ape. The stairs from 'neath my beetling brows turn dogs and frogs and cats and cows both upside down and inside out, and little wizards too, no doubt. I'm Snape, no childish trick or jape can make me laugh or even smile. I think all children truly vile, and yet I'm forced to teach the sods of potions, spells and heathen gods. I'm Snape, my students cringe and gape. I'm trapped within and can't escape, a tomb of sadness draped with crape, and stained with tears my fingers scrape across the blackboard's looming shape. A blacker form in swirling cape is Severus, Professor Snape. I'll fix you, Harry Potter. You just see if I don't. Will I turn out to be a rotter? Perhaps I will, perhaps I won't. I'm Snape.
Lovely, darling, lovely. Now, will you give us your Remus Lupin?
The audition faded, and my ears were carried once again to the fantastic realm of the wireless.
And now on BBC Radio Knoxford, the 3rd episode in our series of Victorian Tales of Terror. The Count, having fled his native Transylvania, has arrived in England on an apparently unmanned ship and been met upon the quayside by dull but worthy lawyer Anthony Plumstring and his fiancée, the beautiful Lucy Honeypot. It's clear that the Count has an eye for Lucy, and she seems strangely attracted to him, while Plumstring is convinced that their visitor is evil incarnate. Will he be able to keep his beloved from the Count's clutches? Find out in this 3rd episode of Count Flatula, a vampire with a problem.
Count Flatula by Abraham Stoker. Starring Featherstone Crumbleback and Simon Callow III. I came to England, the most advanced and civilized country in the world, and began to make for myself a new life among its pallid citizens. I had a new passion, too. I wished to enfold in my sweetness the beautiful Lucy Honeypot, for, having seen and fondled her bustle but once upon the quayside, I was now absolutely, irredeemably in love with her, and was determined to make her my countess.
And so I began to woo the beautiful Lucy, bewildering her with my Middle European charm and magnificence. Every 10 days or so I had to kill again, so went out hunting when the sky was dark. The sweetest fruit was, I learned, to be plucked in that area of London known as Whitechapel, and here I quenched my thirst for many months, once dispatching 2 beautiful damsels and drinking their nectar on the same night. I drank the blood of several children too, and on one occasion met 2 talking meerkats, who had the bare-faced cheek, and their cheeks were very like the faces of little bears, to ridicule my Transylvanian accent. I killed them both and drank their blood. They were no loss to the world, for they were clearly both simpletons. Had I been asked to compare the meerkats with my human victims, I would have rated them poorly. They were weak and tasteless, by comparison, and had clearly been hanging around in England for far too long. The delightful Lucy was as enchanted by me as I was by her. I wanted to kiss her. I longed to caress her. I yearned to explore her, etc., and soon I did. She broke it off with the dullard plum string and agreed to be mine. I could tell her nothing of my secret life of killing prostitutes and drinking their blood, of course, and it was now all the more important that I keep to my dark herbivorous course, for I had to remain sweet for my sweet. Any foul whiff from my posterior now could spoil everything.
Extract from the Journal of Anthony Plumstring, Attorney at Law, Pimlico, 28th November 1888.
The fiend, Flatula, has Lucy. I do not know what power he has over her, how he has turned the head of an innocent English stockbroker's daughter, but I aim to find out, and to destroy him. There is something satanic about the Count, yet Lucy cannot see it. She is bewitched. He gave her a meerkat skin stole last month, a hideous thing with the heads of 2 of the poor creatures still attached, their yellow skulls peeping through the threadbare fur, and she wears it whenever they walk out together, seeing it as a token of her love for him, while I see it only as the avatar of his cruelty. Yet on those occasions when I have approached the Count, thinking to challenge him to a duel, or to fall upon my knees and beg him to give me back my Lucy, his fragrance has overpowered me, and I have felt for a while nothing but love and respect for him. What manner of creature is this Flatula? I mean to find out, and have written to everyone I know in Transylvania for news of the Count. Extract from the Journal of, December 1888. I have now received 5 letters from English-speaking residents of Transylvania, each transmitting a dark rumour about the Count. In the first I heard tell of how he had failed to report a bicycle accident in a graveyard, which had involved a small child who had lost a hand. My second correspondent reported rumours that a washerwoman had been wronged in love by the Count, and had hung herself from a tree, having carved his initials into the bark. The third letter told of an infant found drained of blood, with a note tied to its neck signed by the Count admitting responsibility for its death, which was assumed to have happened during a barbecue in which the Count had mistaken the child for a sausage or a chop. The fourth letter recounted the foul rumour that Flatula had been responsible for organising a performance in his native town of Slatina by the wandering musician known as Filippo Collins. Was there no end to his infamy? It was the fifth letter which chilled my heart, however, and gave me hope that I might, with guile and luck, at last defeat my enemy. As I read it aloud, I was overdubbed unexpectedly by the voice of the writer. "Dear Sir," it read, "I am in receipt of yours of the 5th inst.
I can tell you only this of the nobleman known as Flatula. He has the darkest reputation in these parts, and is said to be a disciple of the Evil One. I mean, of course, Philip O'Collins. In Slutina, his hometown, an ancient city named after a medieval slut called Tina, I met an old woman who told me the most unbelievable story concerning a postman and a parsnip. When she'd finished, I asked her for news of the Count, and she cackled like a mad chicken and told me that once he had been famed for the foul stink that accompanied him at all times, so that the beasts of the field fled from his presence, and butterflies would drop dead if they chanced to be downwind of him. Then one day she had seen him with her own eye, she had only one, lure a small boy into a graveyard and kill it and drink its blood. She had heard with her own ear, she had only one, the boy's terrible cries, and had smelt with her own nose, she had only one, like everybody else, the Count's odours, which had shifted from foul to fair. Indeed, so charming had his sense become that she no longer believed him capable of the deed she had just witnessed, and questioned her own memory. Had the child suffered a conniption, and the Count accidentally drunk its blood while attempting to revive it? She believed this for some while, but later returned to the graveyard and found the little corpse. Though traces of the Count's wonderful scent remained about the body, she recalled the truth, and hacked off the child's right hand, so she could send it to the Count with a threatening note. She gained particular joy, it seems, from writing threatening notes, and never missed an opportunity to pen one. She showed me several she had written that evening, and gave me one as a keepsake. It was very threatening indeed. That was all she could tell me about the Count, save to add that he had disappeared from Castle Flatula shortly after she had sent the note and hand, and a family named Robinson had moved into the place and completely redecorated. I hope these few words may be of some interest to you, and remain your humble and obedient servant, Dr. Fartleby Gant, originally of Giggleswick. Boils and sores a speciality. As an attorney, I could not accept this evidence as anything more than hearsay. The reported report of a mad old woman about the activities of a third party would hold no water in court, but as a man I knew this story to be true in every detail, and knew at last what manner of creature I had to contend with in the Count. I felt a mixture of satisfaction in the knowledge that I had been right to think him a fiend of the foulest, vilest kidney, and horror at the depth of his crimes and extent of his power. But I too had power now, in the form of knowledge, and could combat my enemy if only I could keep his delightful scents out of my nostrils. I had already spent some hours following the Count and Lucy at a discreet distance, and now I redoubled my efforts to spy upon the loathsome man as he walked abroad with my bewitched beloved. I followed them without sleeping for 3 days and nights, standing during the hours of darkness in the street outside the Count's lodgings, where he had installed Lucy as his mistress. On the 4th day, almost mad with lack of sleep and nutrition, I had sustained myself during my vigil only with a flask of Peterson's Miracle Tonic, the preferred tonic of night-stalkers and nocturnal ne'er-do-wells. I dogged the fiend to Faddleditch's chop house in Belgravia, where, quite unexpectedly, the Count gave himself into my hands.
How had the Count betrayed himself? Will Plumstring triumph as he expects, and win back the heart and hand of Miss Lucy Honeypot? Find out in the next thrilling installment of Count Flatula, a vampire with a problem. I dared not hang around in the world of BBC Radio Knoxford any longer for fear of running into the Archer's family, so knitted my brows and concentrated again upon my dear brother Starwheel and his attempts to break into the musical theatre.
Lovely, darling, lovely. Now, will you give us your Remus Lupin?
With great pleasure.
Which is your audition piece?
Well, as you know full well, Lupin has only one song. I therefore intend to perform the opening verses of The Loneliest Werewolf.
You take my breath away. Well, off you go. Johnny, tickle those ivories.
I'm the loneliest werewolf in the world. I'm the loneliest werewolf, the moon's my only friend. I can never fetch a stick or ball that's hurled, for nobody will hurl one, for a wolf is there no end. To my loneliness, my solitude, my pain, I ask the moon when I'll be free again. I am not like other men, and nobody must know it. While they may love and they may laugh, and they may hope one day to kiss a child, there is hair upon my hands, my face and breast will grow it. When moonlight shines, I'm less than half a man. I am a man grown wild. I'm the loneliest werewolf ever born. I'm the loneliest werewolf, my only friend's the moon. I must take this awful form until the dawn. If they saw me now, all decent folk would run or scream or swoon, and I might tear their guts out with my claws, and so I must remain behind closed doors. I'm the loneliest werewolf, the moon's my only friend. I'm the loneliest werewolf in the world.
Thank you, Starwheel. We will let you know. Now, who is next? Yes, you, darling, with the green hair. What's your name?
I am Hermione Granger, most gifted witch of the generation. What extraordinary sounds had come to me from the Ear-Trumpet of Death? That's better. Such richness, such variety, such profundity. The great bell of the tower of Timor Mortis Chapel, known as Enormous Wang, after the Chinese alumnus who had funded its recasting in the 19th century, was tolling the curfew, and it was time to leave my lodgings and repair to the great hall for dinner. The Adventures of Donald McQueen, Bibliographer. Today's chapter was sponsored by the Bibliographical Society of London and by Gruber's Tomato Ketchup, the best ketchup in the world and much better than Shickles. It was written and performed by Paul W. Nash. Next time, in The Adventures of Donald McQueen, Bibliographer.
Very fond memories of Madame Centipede, my old French mistress. We did not know at the time that she was horribly embittered against the old school, Witterings, following an unhappy love affair with the chemistry master, Mr. Peck, and made every effort to mislead her innocent pupils. She told us, for example, that Balzac was the French word for scrotum, and that Honoré de Balzac was an invocation to respect the scrotum. I continued to believe that until I was 26, when, in circumstances which I do not care to relate, my wife corrected the error.